Okay. You're probably noticing a couple things. First, is the filming location. I have not filmed out here in about a good year. It's been a minute. It's been a while. And the last time I filmed out here was no longer than a year ago, because the last time I filmed out here was when I filmed that video talking about the paranormal stuff. And I was sitting out here with this specific angle talking about all that stuff. The Skinwalker story, I was sitting on this other side of the table, but the light shines this way and you couldn't see me sitting there. So also, I'm acting a bit different in this video, and I'm acting like I should be. But I'm going to go into this in a lot of detail, just so you understand. Like, I'll keep it short, but just so you understand why sometimes why I shifted the other day. I deleted the video, I took it down. But why I switched it back into a masculine form. We'll go into this because I said in the transgender video that I wasn't going to ever act like that again. And I don't want to. But sometimes it comes out. And after I film this and talk about this, I'm going to make a retake of that video, of my views on magic and stuff. But, alright, just long story short, I'll summarize in brief my childhood. So when I was, why I'm doing this is so you can get an idea of where that comes from. The masculine side is a survival mechanism. It kicks in when I'm very depressed or when I'm very stressed out about something. And it serves as a survival mechanism that kicks in when I'm sad. But, also, yes, you're probably just now seeing for the first time that I talk with my hands. I do talk with my hands, but I've just got my hands in the armrests, so normally they're like down in my lap, and I just move my hands around like this, down in my lap. But anyway, when I was 4, my dad died, and big whoop. A lot of kids' dads die, right? Okay. Mine was a bit of a different tale, because my dad didn't just die the ordinary way. He got in a horrible car accident where a dump truck hit him, and his head hit the steering wheel so hard that it disintegrated his entire skull, and his brain fell out. His brain turned to complete liquid and splattered all over the dashboard. And he damn near ripped through his seatbelt. Because he fell asleep at the wheel one night. Dune buggy racing. He had just gotten done dune buggy racing with his friend Tony, and he decided he was going to come home, but ran into a bit of an impasse on the way home. He was about 5 minutes from the house, and he got hit by a truck. But just fun fact here, the house that I always live in, that I film in, not this place, this is my mom's, but that bedroom I always film out of with the squeaky chair, that's in my dad's house. Both of those filming locations, one's like right down the hall from the other. My room and the computer room, as I call it, are down the hall from each other. So, yeah, anyway. What happened is I had some things in his car. And how I remember this when I was 4, it's so horrible. It just is, you have like a really bad experience. It burns your brain. It like scars you. That's what this was. But my mom had this grandiose idea, because I had some things in the back of his truck that we needed to get. And so I asked her to take me up there so she could get them, or asked her while she was out, could she get them for me, because she had to run to Walmart. We lived in Gordon, Georgia at this time, so just to give you an idea of where this is at and all. But, yeah, and don't try to find me. We don't even live in Gordon anymore. We live in a totally different part of the state. So, yeah, anyway. When we were in Gordon, when all that went down, so we went to the scrap yard in Gordon to look at my dad's truck and to get the stuff out. My mom, the bitch she is, looked at... Now, I will admit she's gotten better in recent years, but I'll never forgive her for the shit she did to me when I was young. I might act like I have to her, but I haven't. But, she made me get out, because she was too busy playing, get this, Pong on her phone. Yeah, I remember that. She was playing Pong on her flip phone. And she was like, you get out and you go to the car, you get the stuff out. So I went to my dad's truck. And the only way you could get in was the passenger side door was jammed. open. So every other door was jammed shut. So I could climb in barely because I was so small. And I climbed in, and there was blood everywhere. No bone fragments, but it had rained for a week prior to his funeral and all, and his car being carried off. So there was stains everywhere, but there was a lot of blood in the floorboard. The carpet, because it had ran into the floorboard, the carpet was just stained. The steering wheel was covered. All over the, the instrument panel was just totally blotted with blood stains. It was even in the back seat. This is how hard, his entire brain exploded. They said when they buried him, he had no head. He was just a neck. He was completely gone. But, that fucked me up because I left there. You see, I was a 4-year-old and my brain was pretty well mush, but I knew well enough that that was my dad's truck. He'd gotten a wreck in it. The blood must be his. They hadn't cleaned it up yet because they had so many other cars that were coming into the scrapyard. They just couldn't get his yet. And his still was not crushed or was not disposed of. It was just sitting out there with blood all in it. And yeah, I saw that as a kid. And I was looking at my grandma's window. She's like, used to be my room. That, funny enough, used to be my room. But you can barely see that little window right there. That used to be my room. That's what the song Second Window View is about, my view from that room looking at the woods. Anyway, fun fact there. But to speed this along, my mom meets this guy named Steven, total fucking douchebag. He was good most of the time at first, but the longer they stayed together, the worse he got, because he got really bad on drinking, and then my mom did. And they would always drink, they'd fight with each other, and throw beer bottles at each other. I have a video that goes much more in depth about this. It's called A Little Bit of My Backstory, but I'd almost rather you hear it here because this is shorter, and I was very depressed when I filmed that other video, so I was talking about a lot of dark stuff. But anyway, Steven took to, because I was a very feminine kid. I used to act like I am now, but back then, when I was a kid. And this is where the masculine side comes in, because he used to pick on me about it, and he'd call me a faggot and a queer, and he'd pick on me about it, and he'd say, like, you're supposed to be a man, and he'd say, come outside and change the brakes on this truck. I'd go outside and try to change the brakes, and I'd be like, can you help me out so I can figure out how to do it? He's like, no, figure it out yourself. Just figure it out. And I was like, I can't figure it's okay, I'll try. So I would try, and I couldn't get it. I could not figure out what to do. I didn't know you had to take the tire off. I was literally 11 years old. I didn't know you had to take the tire off to get to the brakes. I know that now, but I didn't then. And I was underneath the car just looking for what to do. And I asked him for help again, and he comes over there berating me, screaming at me, calling me a faggot, and called me a queer. He told me I was a lowlife that would never amount to anything. He said, if you can't figure out how to take the fucking brakes off, you're a loser and you'll never amount to shit, and you'll probably just die in your 20s from being so fucking stupid. You'll probably just not be able to get a job and starve. And he left me crying because he hurt my feelings so bad, and he was like, fuck you, is what he told me. And then he went inside, and I went inside behind him and told my mom about it, and she called me a liar and grounded me for 3 weeks for lying. So this is my childhood. Take that incident, repeat it like 50 times. No, not 50 times. Repeat it about 500 or more. They would do that every night. They would, look, when I was in 7th grade, I started getting beaten up every day by these kids. Every kid in my class hated me. And it was every day. Anyway, I don't know why. It was for no reason. But every day, 15 kids would gang up on me at PE. And that's not a joke. It was the whole class. Mostly boys. The girls would try to stay out of it. There were a few girls that would throw shit at me while I was being pounded by the boys. But there were about 21 in my class, but there were 15 boys in there. So they ganged up on me. But every day at PE, they would start off by throwing kickballs at me. And I'm not talking about your little, like, soft kind. I'm talking, like, the big rubber balls. Those big hard ones. They would throw them at my head, and my, like, shoulder, my torso, until I was hurting so bad. I'd be, like, kind of hunched over like this. And then one of them would come and sweep my legs out from under me, knock me on the ground, and they'd all take turns stomping on me. And then they wouldn't let me get up. If I tried to sit up or something, they'd kick me in the face and knock me back over. And I was knocked unconscious a lot. I think it was a weekly thing. I hated that fucking school with a passion. I really did. But I'd come home from that to be called a piece of shit, a faggot, a pussy. Oh, you can't beat up 15 kids. Because I come home and my mom could tell I was depressed. She was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, oh, I got beaten up. And then she'd be like, okay, why didn't you beat them up? I was like, there's 15 of them. And she's like, you could take them. You're cousins, for Christ's sake. Act like it. So, yeah, she's a piece of shit, and so was he. And they'd play music so loud every night that I could not sleep. Steven liked heavy metal, as do I, but there's limits, you know. Look, that's the only good thing he did. I'm wearing a Demasteris Dump Satanas shirt, by the way. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have ever heard of Mayhem. He didn't listen to them, but he sort of listened to early proto-black metal like Celtic Frost and who's the other band? Merciful Fate and stuff like that. And it got me into that sound, and then it just evolved as I got older, and I got into more heavier and heavier stuff. But it's the only good thing he did. But apart from that, he did nothing. But I had to start avoiding his wrath somehow, because I wanted to be myself, but I couldn't. So I had to come up with this fake personality. Literally, this is how I did it. You want to know how I mimic Kurt Cobain's voice so well? It's because I did mimic him. I looked videos of, like, I didn't talk in this voice back then. This is voice training. Very bad voice training. I admit. I could do better, and I'm trying. I'm practicing, but I think I've got the mannerisms pretty good. But the voice, like the pitch, my voice naturally sits really low. So this is actually pretty good for the type of voice I have. But anyway, I was sitting outside one day, and I was watching a bunch of Nirvana interviews when I was like 13. Like I was saying before that, though, I used to act feminine, but just mannerisms and the way I carried myself, not with the voice. But I wanted to try to mimic someone, because I didn't know how to do it. So I just mimicked people. And what I did is ended up getting myself into a lot of trouble with what they call dysphoria, and that's where it came from. Because I would try to act super masculine, and I just get these urges to act a lot more feminine, and that's when I started doing shit like that. These, by the way, are old. But so when I started doing this stuff, the really bad ones there, on the other arm too. So yeah, that's when I started doing that. And if you're wondering, I'm very, very good with the cold. It's 21 degrees. I'm warm as shit. Like, I'm warm as fuck. Don't ask me how, but I'm super warm. I'm just completely comfortable. Like, I'd probably sleep out here if I wanted to. I'm just very good with the cold, for reasons I'll get into in a minute. But let me rewind the clock for a minute, back to the time when I was 8 years old. That's when dysphoria first hit me, and it's why I acted so feminine as a kid. Before that, I didn't. I was just typical little boy. Then when I was 8, now this is a bit personal, so if you don't want to hear about puberty shit, turn it off. But, you know, when you're going through puberty as a male, you start growing hair in weird spots, you know. It started out with me with fuzz, but I hit puberty very early and very hard. And so my voice deepened by the time I was like 9 years old to what you hear in my videos. And it was ridiculous. Like, when I went to school in 6th grade and like 5th grade, I talked like fucking, I don't know what you could compare it to, but it was really deep. It's what you heard in my older videos. It's how I talk. But for a 9-year-old, that's ridiculous. And what happened, I was in my room one day, and it was like the first time I ever jacked off, and I hated it. After I did it, I literally cried. I went and curled up in the corner and cried, and I had never had that happen before, but it was because my body was changing and all that stuff, and I did not like the way in which it was. I didn't know that at the time. I knew it was something. I knew I was uncomfortable with some element of myself, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was at that time. I can now. But it only got worse with age. By the time I was 11, my mom and them, they started their fussing got really bad. So, and when I was 11 is when I started getting picked on in 7th grade. So to give you an idea of what is going on here, to paint my daily life in a picture for you of what would have happened back then. I wake up at 6 a.m. and go to school. No, I didn't go to school at 6 a.m. I just would get ready, leave by 7:30. I would leave by 7:30 and get there at about 8:10-ish, and then, yeah, I'd just wait for school to start at 8:15. But no, I'd normally get there about 7:40. Forgot, because I live with my mom. I would get there. It took me about an hour, because my grandparents live an hour from Milledgeville, so it took a while. But anyway, I wouldn't mention details like this, but I've said it before in older videos anyway, so you probably already know. But I went to John Millage Academy, piece of shit school. Don't ever fucking... It was a private school, but it was actually my dad's idea to send me there and my grandparents' idea to keep me there. I didn't like the place and I didn't want to be there. I would have much rather been a public school or homeschooled or something. But anyway, I started having dysphoria around the time of 8, and it got worse when I turned 11. And it was noticeable at school. I think this is why a lot of kids started picking on me. I did not want to change in the boys' locker room. I wouldn't use the bathroom because I couldn't go to the women's room, and I felt like I should have to go to the women's room. And I thought, because, hey, I'm at school, I'm away from home, I can act feminine. No, you can't, because then kids started beating the shit out of me. That was all it took. They're like, you're a fucking weirdo, we're gonna beat the fuck out of you. But, after that, I'd come home from that hell. Oh, by the way, because Steven would blare the music so loud at night that I couldn't sleep, I'd ask him to turn it down. He'd turn it out in 5 seconds. When I go back in my room, he'd turn it louder. And he even installed new speakers so he could play it louder to fuck with me. But he'd blare it so loud, and then I'd go to school the next day, and I'd fall asleep at lunch because I just couldn't stay awake. And when I'd fall asleep, everybody would throw their food at me. Just food scraps that they didn't eat. They'd throw it at me instead of the trash can. Because they called me the trash can. They called me human garbage a lot of the time. Some kid told me I was a waste of space and human feces one time. Before punching me in the face. So that was not good. The only friend I had in school was this guy named Cody Cox, who I'm still best friends with today. We've had each other's backs through thick and thin. Although one time he did turn on me, and that was also in 7th grade. I had no one, because he turned on me to go fight me from their side. And his reasoning for this, because he didn't want to end up getting beaten up like me for defending me. I was like, some friend, but he's matured and gotten better with time. But I remember one time I had just woken up from being unconscious for a few minutes, and I stood up, and there he is standing there. I was like, Cody? And he kicks me in the face and knocks me back out. Great. But after that, would come home to my stepdad and my mom throwing beer bottles at each other in the kitchen, and then I would go back to my bedroom and just sit there and do nothing. I'd either do that or I'd play games or something. Because that was how I vented back in the day. And so the masculine thing became a survival instinct for me. So I would just, if I felt threatened, I would turn it on. But I always felt threatened. So I always turned it on. And I just acted like that for so many years because I felt unsafe wherever I went. And I felt stressed out all the time, to the point that it became a second personality, thus split personality disorder. Yes, I have it. Not been diagnosed with it, but it's obvious because I switch in and out. And I've noticed the longer that I act like this, which is the way that I normally would act, and it's the way I'm most comfortable with. I hate the masculine side, but I switch into it anyway. But when I'm acting like this, the longer I do it, if I'm in an environment that supports it, the less I switch into the other. The only problem is my grandfather doesn't like me acting like this. And it's so fucking weird. He's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with you taking hormone pills, estrogen or anything like that, progesterone. I don't mind you taking these things. Just don't act like a woman. I was like, dude, that's the whole fucking point. Like, or dress like one. I was like, thanks, buddy. And I live with him, so until I move out, I'm kind of fucked. But my mom's the same way. I mean, I can act this way around her, but the second I start dressing the way that I want, she's like, so they're kind of accepting, but then kind of not at the same time. And to give you an idea of the way she reacted, when I was 15, I decided I wanted to come out as gay, because that's what I thought I was. No, 17, excuse me. To paint this picture for you, I was dating this girl at the time named Emily. Now, I'll just put it in this video. This was the best moment of my life. Because during this year, like when I was 16, I started watching Steph Signati on YouTube. This is back when she had uploaded the My Face and Wardenberg Syndrome video, very old material. I started watching her stuff. Actually, before that, I saw her old makeup tutorial and she still had the beard. I was like, ah! But then she comes out as trans, and she made this video about dysphoria and all this stuff and progress updates on estrogen therapy and things. I was like, I want that. I remember just thinking to myself, I wasn't thinking like normally I would try not to, I'm not supposed to feel that way. I grew up in a very religious household. I wasn't religious, but I was always made to feel it was wrong to be like that. And to give you an idea, when I was 9 years old and the whole gay marriage debate was going on in 2009, my mom said that gay people should be burned at the stake. And trans people. Yeah, fuck her. But, how she went from that to semi-accepting, I don't know. Whatever. But I was just sitting there in my room watching, and I was like, I want that. And I was like, wait, did I just say that out loud? I was like, yeah, I want that. And it was just something I knew I had to do, but I still pushed it down. And anyway, I started dating Emily about a year later when I was 17. And it took a year to figure myself out. I was thinking about, was this something I really wanted to do? I gave it time to think, even though I knew I was going to do it in the end. But I went to John's house, my neighbor at the time. He lived like right next door. We practically share yards. No, I don't live in the suburbs, but we live out in the middle of nowhere, but they just put two double wides right next to each other. Don't ask me. There's not even a fence. Now there's a guy named Rick that lives there, but he's a good guy, but I miss John and them. But Emily was John's sister, and she lived with them. And anyway, my mom kicked me out because I came out to her as bi. And so she's like, get the fuck out of my house. So she kicks me out, and I move into this rotting tool shed up there. Literally at the top of the yard. I can see it from here. But, yeah, it brings back bad memories because I slept in it for 3 weeks. And I didn't eat anything. Hardly anything. I'd sneak through Taylor's window in her bedroom. She'd leave it open for me at night, and I'd come in. Taylor being my little sister, and I'd come in and I'd get food from the kitchen, and I'd bring it back up there. And it was mostly unhealthy shit, like it was a couple chips or something. And it was barely anything. So I was very tired, and I didn't eat anything. I lost like 30 pounds. But finally, I decided I was going to kill myself. Because I was in that shed. There was a gun up there. It was an old gun that I had, an old like pellet rifle. But it was one of those that was powerful enough that we used to kill small hogs with it, to give you an idea. I didn't, but my grandfather would use it to kill small hogs from a long distance. I said, if it'll kill them from that distance, it'll kill me from point blank range. So I took it, and I, without hesitance, I checked to see if it was loaded, put it to my head, pulled the trigger, because it was up there in the shed. And I had already been up there for 3 weeks. I was like, I'm not going to be able to go back to the house. I'm not going to be able to do anything. Fuck it. And it did not go off. I put it in my head, and I cocked it, put it in my head. Nothing. I was like, what? And I pressed it like 6 more times, like, fire, you fuck, and it didn't work. So I took there was a side panel off, I took it off, and it was rusted completely to shit on the inside. Nothing could move. I threw it out the window, and the next morning, it was like an hour later, I was like at 5 a.m. At 6 a.m., John comes out there, and like with robes and shit, because it's so cold, and I'm just sitting up there with my short sleeves. He's like, how are you doing that? I was like, I don't know. But he comes up there. And he opens up the door to the shed, and he's like, are you okay? I heard like crashing, and then there's a gun out there on the ground, busted to pieces. What happened? I was like, tell you about it later. He's like, you can crash at my place if you want. I know you've been up here for a while. I was like, thanks, man. So I came down to his house and moved in with him. Little did I know Emily was there. And me and Emily hit it off very well. Why am I telling you all these details? Because it has to do with how I got to this point. And it all ties in with the two personalities. So when I was with Emily, she could already tell I was very feminine, because I was getting to the point where my dysphoria was so bad I could not act masculine. It was a task for me to do it. The first people that I ever came out to, not as trans fully, and it was indirectly, I just started acting feminine one day, like this, and heightening my voice and stuff, was around all of them. And I was dating Emily, and Emily was like pansexual, so she didn't care. So she said. But of course, in a relationship, you want to have sex, right? I couldn't have sex with her. And I had like girlfriends prior to her at this point, but I could never do anything but be romantic with them. If it came to sex, I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it with Emily. It disgusted me. I didn't even want to grab her boobs. She was like, can you grab my tits? I was like, I guess. And I grabbed them. I was like, oh, no, fuck. I was like, they're soft and all, but no. And so I just didn't do anything with her. And she was like, well, when are you going to do something to me? I was like, never. And it was like the more feminine I was able to act, the more I wanted to be. And Emily started noticing weird behaviors of mine. She said that I would, well, to give you an idea, typical dysphoria behaviors. She'd be changing her clothes, and we'd like stay in the same room, so she would change, and then I would just stay in her room, because I stayed the entire summer and fall there until we broke up. But, I was there, and I was watching her change one day, and I was just staring at her while she had her clothes off. She's like, are you okay? I was like, nah. And I got up and walked off and went to the bathroom, cried for 3 hours. Just because I was looking at all the curves and stuff. I was like, I want that. And then I just got up, walked off, and cried. Cut myself all up too. That's where a lot of these scars are from. There's a lot of past stuff that just, it won't heal up. You won't believe how deeply I used to cut myself, but I try not to do it anymore. Sometimes I will, but it's just minute scratches that don't leave scars. A lot of these scars are just old material, old news, especially these. These are from close to a year ago, but my sleeves cover them mostly, so you don't ever see them. Yeah, anyway. I was in a dilemma because I couldn't fuck her. I couldn't do anything with her, really. And so I ended up in this relationship that was non-sexual and just all romantic, and even then it started to shift. And she started to take on more masculine roles, but it was because I was so feminine and just wouldn't change. I just wouldn't. I couldn't. I literally couldn't. It would make me so uncomfortable. I'd like have an anxiety attack, like a total panic attack, mental breakdown, if I tried to go back to masculinity again. But I was sitting in her bedroom one day, I remember. Her bedroom being the living room, that is, but nobody was home most of the time, so it was just us. We could pretty well do anything, but we didn't. But we slept on this pull-out couch, and I was laying on the pull-out couch watching Mythbusters. She lays down, and she's like, you want to watch a romantic movie? I was like, yeah, sure. So we turn it on, and I just remember I wanted to be held, because it was like a romantic movie. It was like a romantic movie, and there was a scene where this couple was cuddling and watching movies. I was like, hey, that's kind of like us. She was like, yeah. I was like, can you hold me? I was like, she was like, what? I was like, well, just please. And so I kind of roll over, and she starts spooning me. I was a little spoon, but I never wanted to hold her because it just felt weird. Felt out of place doing it. And I mean, I would just for the sake of making her happy, but she could tell I didn't enjoy it at all. So most of the time she just wouldn't make me do it. I'd still ask her if she wanted me to, though, because I'm just courteous, but I try to be anyway. I was like, want me to hold you? She's like, I know you don't like it. You don't have to. But she ended up dumping me. She's like, what you need is a boyfriend. You need dick. So she told me. I was like, what? she's like, you need a boyfriend. You don't need a girlfriend. You are like the most you're yeah we're through because you won't fuck me. You won't. I'm like, she said, I feel like a dude when I'm with you. This is how feminine you are. I was like, oh, damn. But she hated it. She ended up hating, in the end, how feminine I was. At first, she thought it was cute, and then toward the end, she hated it. And that's why she dumped me. And she got kind of mean toward the end, which I can understand her point of view. But at the same time, there's no reason to be rude. And she dumped me, and there's really no reason for what she did after that. She accused me of being a rapist and went to the police, and this is the funny part. Told them that I had raped her. Never did. Wouldn't even fuck her. But like, the most I ever did was grab her boobs. That was it, and I didn't even like that. So, yeah. I just did it because I felt like she wanted me to do it. I did not like it at all. But my hands are a little chilly. But after that, I went to my mom's house to eat dinner one night. She invited me over, and she told me she wanted me to move back in. Turns out around that time she was about to dump me anyway. So it kind of worked out, depending on the way you look at it. But her parents went to the police and told them that she was a hoe. I was like, you've got to be kidding. Her parents took her with them to the police station and told them, she said, they were like, yeah, don't mind what she said. She does this with all her exes. She tries to get them in trouble for something if she doesn't like them. Just throw it in the trash. We know Logan didn't do anything. And they scrapped it. So we didn't ever hear from the police, thank God. But I did exactly what she hated. I said, I am going to get as fucking feminine as humanly possible. And this is the night that everything clicked. I was 17, and I was in the bathroom, and I had like put a little bit of makeup on, broken into my mom's clothes and got like a skirt type thing, and I had this big baggy long sleeve shirt that just looked adorable, and I put it on, and I felt cute as fuck. I loved it. I felt so like at home in my skin, and then something happened. John, the straightest one of them all, every time, like, I'd catch him looking at my ass or something, and he's like, I was like, are you gay? He's like, no. I'm straight, Holmes. I was like, okay, sure you are. And he just like, I'd go to walk off, and I'd kind of turn around and look, and he's like, I was like, keep your eyes on the screen, goddammit. But, he kind of he had to have had a slight thing for me, but he never admitted to it, even when we were cuddling. But then he didn't really have to. But it was like, but anyway, he was pretty well bisexual. I don't think he was a gay because he'd had girlfriends before, and he always talked about how hot these chicks were. But I think he was a bi, and he just didn't want to admit he had a thing for guys, especially more feminine guys. And at the time, like right now, I still don't look much like a girl. I do when I wear like makeup. Even a little bit of eyeliner makes me look really good. I just don't have it with me now, but I've got like a turtleneck dress that I've got in there. It's like a big turtleneck poncho thing, and then I wear like a skirt underneath it, and it's just adorable. Or leggings underneath it, and with makeup, and then I totally pass. Not pass completely, but really, I don't think a lot of trans women should have to pass. You know, there's a certain beauty in not passing. You can have a feminine beauty without looking like every other girl. You know, you can have some masculine features and still be pretty. But anyway, yeah, so I was all dolled up, and then John calls me, and he's like, can I come over and spend the night? My mom's being a dick. I was like, I guess. I'm like completely in cross-dress mode. Do you care? He's like, no. And he's like, I'll be right over, let me pack some things. So he brings his Xbox over, and we're just hanging out in my room playing Minecraft of all things, sitting on a couch that I had that I found at the dump in there. Anyway, we were sitting there, and he's like, you want to play? I was like, yeah. And I took the controller, and then he like slides really close to me and leans on me. It's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. He said, you just look really nice. And he just didn't say nothing else. He just went he just went like, And I was like, I looked at him and he looked at me and went, I was like, your ass is gay. And he's like, no, I'm not gay. He was still denying it. But as he's sitting there snuggling with me, and then he put like one of his hands on my leg or whatever, and we were just sitting there enjoying each other's company and taking turns playing games and watching movies. And the one stick out moment is when we decided to go to bed. He slept on the floor, and I, like, next to my bed, and I slept on my bed, which was a mattress on the floor. I'm laying on the bed, and we got spooked. We were, like, looking for ghosts and all, because I'm a witchy bitch anyway. And we were looking around for, like, spirits and things, and I ended up falling off the bed on him. Like, right next to him, kind of on him. My arm, like, went on him, but instead of getting back on the bed, I was like, I guess I'll just sleep down here. And I just laid down there, and he was like, yeah, I don't want you sleeping back up on the bed. I like you next to me. It's exactly what he said. I was like, you're not straight at all. Okay, maybe you're not gay, but dude, you're not straight. Definitely. You're tad crooked. Just a tad. You're like a slightly bit bendy straw, but that shit ain't straight. But anyway. Yeah, that's what he said. And that was my first romantic experience with a guy. Prior to that, there were none. But I found myself very sexually attracted to Josh. Never was to a woman. So that's when I figured out I'm pretty much gay. But then I started putting the pieces together, and I knew that night that I wanted to be a woman. But I still didn't fully understand myself. Like, I still labeled myself as gay, and still saw myself as a man. Even though the only thing masculine about me is the way that my face looks. Apart from that, I'm just a girl through and through. The way that I act, maybe I don't have the highest pitch of voice in the world, but I have the mannerisms, and I do good with them. They just come naturally to me, and I don't know, but yeah, anyway. So that's sort of. And I still have a heart, well, in conclusion, when I was a kid, all this stuff happened to me, and then leading up to the Emily stuff, and now I'm still dealing with the fallout of those things. I still have episodes where I want to switch. Luckily for me, I'm talking to a guy now that understands me very, very well. And he used to have similar problems, but doesn't anymore. And he knows how to help me with them. And he can see right through me. So, yeah, thank God. But, things are looking up. I think so. But, it's a little bit more of my story in a more brief type of video than that other one. But, more focusing on my trans experience and things, and why I switch sometimes into the other personality. And that's why I took the video down, because I made the promise. I was like, I'm not going to upload anything from now on except for this. If you don't like it, fuck off. And I still stand by that. But my reasoning behind it at the time, I was just thinking, I've got to upload something. I had been in switch mode for like a week. I was like, I've got to upload something. I can't just keep not uploading anything. And I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. I was working on my book and things, but I was like, I've got to do something. So I filmed, even though I was in that state, and I uploaded it. And then a couple of my friends called me, and they were like, why are you acting like that? I thought you said you weren't going to do that anymore. And then I felt really disappointed in myself. I was like, I'm going to take it down. And they all agreed with me. So I took it down. I deleted it, and I'm proud of it. So I'm going to upload this one, and then I'm going to do a refilm. I want to do something that harkens back to the old days of my channel, though. I'm going to talk about some witchy bitch magic stuff out here. A retake of my magic video. And then I'm going to talk about some paranormal encounters. So, let's do that. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night, and see you in the next video.